Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you may be, true believers, martial artists, and those who would like to learn something new just for fun, for the sake of learning. Turtle Sage here with another fun-filled episode of How To Foo. And on today's episode, this is a special request video from one of my favorite people online, Miss Eve Henderson. Give yourself a round of applause for, bringing out one of my favorite weapons, and a lot of people's favorite weapons, and actually, believe it or not, true story, the first weapon I learned formally from an instructor, the single-edged slicing Japanese sword, better known as the Katana. So, as you can see here, the Katana is the historical Japanese sword carried by the samurai and the ninja. And in today's episode, we're going to learn two things: how to hold the how to hold the Katana, and how to do a basic overhead cut, better known as Kydiodosh. Otherwise known as, in layman's terms, split somebody's wig. So with that said, let's go right into it. So, as you can see here, I'm wearing the Katana on my left side. Why is that? Well, it was for security reasons, and all technique, whether it be drawing, or what have you, starts with the right hand. Power comes from the right hand, right? So when I unsheath it, I press on the tsuba or the guard and pull on both the scabbard and the katana itself. And I want, as you can see here, maybe like an inch or so away from the tsuba. I'll explain why in a bit. So, the blade slightly unsheathed, I can draw the sword, right? So while holding the sword in combat, as you can see, you want basically about a human fist, your fist width away from each hand. And with the left hand, as you can see, if you look closely, my pinky is on the base, right? So when I grip, it's on the base. I can direct it like such. And fun fact, for those of you who are fascinated by, things like crime syndicates, what have you, the Yakuza, aka the Japanese Mafia, when a soldier, messes up a mission or talks out of turn, offends somebody of higher rank than them, and embarrasses the organization, they're forced to take a knife and cut off their pinky finger. Why is that? Well, this goes back to the ancient samurai. When you lose your pinky, it's harder to wield a sword, right? And so those samurai not connected to a daimyo, not serving under a daimyo or whatever, like a clan, their clan leader, they're known as ronin, or their term for mercenaries, masterless warrior, right? And so they weren't held to the same standards because they didn't serve anybody of Bushido, right? And so the Yakuza had their own standards. They were the criminal organization running around Japan. And so like any criminal organization, they used the weapons at the time to enforce their way of doing things. Right? And so at that time, it was katanas. So moving on, we know how to hold it, a fist width away. You want to have your right hand just maybe an inch or so under the tsuba so you don't get caught up in it. It's easier to direct. You're faster with it. That is how to hold the katana. Now moving on to your basic cut, your overhead cut, Kydiodosh, aka splitting somebody's wig. So when executing this, remember when you're in battle, all swordsmanship is tied to an unarmed combat. With samurai, it's jujitsu. With the ninja, it's taijutsu, which is basically jujitsu with a lot more hidden techniques, right? So you know that if you followed me for any amount of time, right? So you want to have train tracks, not tightrope. This is bad. This is good. You want to have your stance, strong stance, stability. Stability is power, and power is stability. So, when doing Kydiodosh, you bring the sword above your head, but not flat, and not straight up. Imagine like a giant is right behind you, and you're poking them in the stomach or the nose, right? So when you bring it up, oh, he's got a severe nosebleed, right? So when doing Kydiodosh, you want to bring your hands forward and like you're hitting someone with the butt of your sword, because this is also a technique, believe it or not, right? Bring it forward with the butt of your sword. Bring it forward with the butt of your sword. Bring it forward with the butt of your sword, like so. Doing that, after you do that, you come down in an arc, and you sink while you do it. Bring it forward, bring it down in an arc, and sink while you do it. When you sink, it adds to cutting power. It's just like punching. When you punch, sink, you get more power, right? So same thing. Slice. 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 Right? Slice. And this is a technique you can make a whole workout of. You can practice it over and over and over again, and it should be effortless, because all fighting period should be effortless. But when you cut someone, it should be like a hot knife through butter, or a hot katana through human flesh and bone. Yes, this is very much a grisly art. There is no, I will make no bones about it. Learning this technique, when a samurai or ninja draws his or her sword, someone's gonna die. So the philosophy of it is you don't necessarily want to be quick to draw your sword, but you don't want to fear away from drawing it. So as you can see here, I have the single edge curved slicing weapon. This is the standard katana. However, for home defense, if you should cross that threshold, this is the one I use. Why? Shorter, straighter. Why? Well, one, I do practice ninjutsu. Two, it works for me because I live in a place with a lot of narrow corners. So if I'm facing, say, a home invasion, this is probably a better option, because those big cuts you make with a longer sword are harder to do in narrow corners. So keep that in mind. This is why a ninja would do that, because they're weaving around narrow corners, they're sneaking. So this makes much more sense for stealth, and a lot of taijutsu is tied to this. So with that said, practice hard, train hard. Oh, and if you're gonna start practicing with katana, I suggest you start with a bokken, not a live blade, because yes, accidents happen. It's razor sharp. If you're not doing it right, you will cut yourself, and it's, well, if you've seen any samurai movie or ninja movie, you know how it ends. So with that said, train hard, practice hard, be water, my friends, get stronger, and if you like what you saw, like, share, and subscribe. Turtle Sage, signing out. Oos!